Welcome to a new update. Today it's Saturday, which is that we are going to talk about altcoins, but we have to discuss the news that came out yesterday before we jump into the news of today, or the topic of today, which is that altcoins are waking up. And again, it's not the first time, but Dino coins like Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, I think even Doge and XRP are the ones that you should be looking at because the markets are heating up. Before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also make sure to check out our public Discord where I'm sharing more content. And if you want to get yourself kickstarted, the Crypto One-on-One course is live. There's an early bird 10% discount for the more than 7 hours of content, which you can find in the description beneath. Make sure to check it out if you want to get yourself a proper kickstart in the world of crypto. When we talk about the markets, the first topic that we need to address is the topic that is going all around here, which is the regulatory framework, which we can see on the screen too. There are many spot ETF filings, which were done by Fidelity, which is done by Valkyrie, Wisdom Tree, Invesco even, and we've got BlackRock. Now, the most recent one is Fidelity, and then yesterday there was a news topic, which is that the SEC stated that most Bitcoin spot Bitcoin ETF filings are inadequate. What does it say? Well, not much, but based on the actual title that we saw from this account, but also another account, we saw a big correction on the markets, which we will be discussing in a little bit. Now, what the actual reasoning behind this is that we're seeing a case of just a simple mistake being made by the filings because they didn't give the actual exchange that they will be using for the ETF filing, which is Coinbase. So Eric said here, hold up a second, this isn't as bad as headline. The key paragraph is deep in story. So there's a 1.5 page PDF attached to it. Basically, the SEC wants them to name the crypto exchange and give more details on SSA. That's understandable, arguably good news. Why? Well, the filings have been done in the past 2 weeks, and we're already getting a response right now, which means the SEC is on it, and that is also going to mean that we're probably going to get the ETF earlier than next year, which is even going to push the markets even more. So the response that we got is not as bad as it is. So we got an over-exaggerated move to the downside as many people are long, and turning around markets is super easy to do. That's what we saw, and therefore the markets have been dropping down. So yet the SEC told the exchange that it returned the filings because they didn't name the spot Bitcoin exchange with which they are expected to have a surveillance sharing agreement, or provide enough information about the details of those surveillance arrangements. Asset managers can update the language and refile. An SPOA spokeswoman said it plans to update and refile. Nasdaq and the SEC declined to comment. So actually, if you look at the news, the markets have been responding to the headline, but there is a good thing in it, which is that they are responding. And the good part is too, I got filled on long, so that's great. But we are getting into a landscape that even the regulatory framework is going to be established, and the government wants to do that fast. Basically what they do here, and they want to do it appropriate. So they are not against, which means that there is some light at the end of the tunnel for crypto. And why? Well, we also saw Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin doing really well in the markets, and there is a simple reason for it. First of all, Litecoin doing well is still because of the halving approaching. So I think the coming few weeks you will be seeing more momentum on Litecoin approaching overall. Second, what we see even more is the EDX exchange that is currently being designed and built and going live with Fidelity as a backer, with Citadel as a backer. That exchange has a few altcoins that they want to start trading on the exchange, which is Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Ripple wasn't really mentioned in it. This means that If they include those assets, those class assets will not be a security because they are on exchanges fully regulated, which means that it's bullish for the markets if they are not classified as a security, hence why we see the massive strength taking place on the markets. And when the Bitcoin Cash starts to move and when Litecoin starts to move, usually you will see older altcoins do really well as well, with Dogecoin, with XRP, with EOS, the OG coins. And in the meantime, DeFi starts to wake up too, as probably DeFi will not be classified as securities either. Now, when we're looking at the markets, we can definitely see that there was a lead up to this entire crash that we've just witnessed. So what we see here is a case that the markets are anticipating a potential breakout, right? We have been seeing this momentum to the upside. We have already mentioned that there were a few lows still eager to be taken if we are going to have a reversal. Actually, those lows have been taken. Potential scenario for a long was a sweep beneath this area at 29.5. Critically, we've had it. Only barely and not in a way that I would definitely argue to take the long entry. But at least we had a build up and the news came out here. So people were anticipating that we were going to break to the upside, which clearly we didn't. And then there were many lows ready to be taken out, and usually when that starts to happen, it starts to over cascade to the downside, take out even more levels as people are getting mass liquidated, and due to this 660 million of liquidations has been taking place to make this wick the most heavy wick since March on the markets. You don't see it on Binance chart, but you can see it on our exchanges. So yes, there was a lot of volume in this, especially on the derivative markets, through which the wick also caused the altcoins to go into an acceleration to the downside and overshoot, through which we are currently waiting to see what's happening on the markets. What's going to happen? Well, if you look at it, we're just back in the range. So what you don't want to see is that Bitcoin goes to this low again, because if that happens, I think we're going to have a cascade towards 28k. But if we just sustainably go stay above like 29.9 to let's say 29.8, we probably are going to continue bouncing back up to the highs in the next few days, and back towards 31k in just a matter of few days. And then this entire whitewash is done, and we are looking for more upside, ready to break to the upside in the coming few weeks. And when we're looking at the altcoins, BCH has been doing really well, and ultimately it started to show strength, through which it's unclassified whether we continue this run. I think if we continue the run, we might even pursue a run towards 400 bucks. But at this point, it is up at 3x. So clearly you don't want to start chasing this, but you can definitely see that the interest into the markets is back, especially with the high volume candles that we see here, through which you can also start defining the exact same when it comes to Litecoin. So Litecoin currently during this update has seen a volume candle that is the highest since, well, let's say November 2021, which was the peak run of the markets, and also September 2021 and May 2021. So either it's going to be the high, or we are at the edge of having a breakout taking place. So we have been sweeping this high barely here, as you can see, but this wick is not clear, as we see this wick here. So we didn't take out the actual high, but what do we see is that we are on the edge of having a breakout above the 200-week EMA and MA for Litecoin. So in this case, the build-up is there to have a proper breakout. And I mentioned it a few times. If we are clearly getting through it, it starts to accelerate, because that is going to be the point where we take out these highs and we take out these two of the range. We have been going sideways for the entire year in this range, which means that once we break through it, it starts to accelerate, and I think that we're going to have a runner towards 200 bucks. Super simple price action here. So what are we looking at when we're looking at the altcoins overall? For Litecoin, I think the entry has gone. So we've got a cascade to the downside. We've got a case where we have been seeing a massive wick taking place, and that wick has been taking place to $90, at least has been taking out these lows over here. So definitely what you don't want to see is that we lose the area at 93, But at this point, I think that we're going to have some consolidation, some sideways action, and then we start to break to the upside and start creating ourselves into new highs on the markets as altcoins are eagerly waiting for a breakout. Next week, I review my top 5 altcoins. I'm going to review an update on the altcoin portfolio, which you can find in Discord as well. It's going to be more active. Ciao.